Someone told you to go to sleep early again. And somewhere between every alarm you've ever snoozed again, every morning you've apologized for, every time someone called you lazy, you started to believe them. But what if the shame was never yours to carry? In 1912, a man sat at his desk at 10 p.m. He spent the day filing insurance documents, wearing the suit, playing the role. The moment his family slept, he picked up a pen and didn't put it down until 6 a.m. 8 hours. One story, no interruptions. He wrote in his diary that morning, a complete opening of body and soul. That man was Franz Kafka, and what he wrote that night became one of the most important pieces of literature of the 20th century. He didn't write it despite the night. He wrote it because of it. Here's what science actually says. Up to 50% of your chronotype is written into your DNA. When you feel alive, when your mind sharpens, that's not a bad habit. That's biology. The world didn't build itself around your rhythm. It built itself around someone else's. And researchers gave that gap a name, social jet lag. For night owls, every Monday morning is biologically equivalent to flying across multiple time zones. But here is where it gets interesting. Late at night, the brain's internal filter, the one that keeps your thinking narrow and linear, begins to loosen. Scientists call this cognitive disinhibition. And when it happens, the strange connections, the peripheral ideas, the thoughts that don't fit any template, they start slipping through. Those are exactly the thoughts that lead to breakthroughs. A 2024 study from Imperial College London analyzed over 26,000 adults and found that night owls consistently scored higher on fluid intelligence and working memory than morning types. And yet, they got worse grades in school, not because they were less intelligent, but because the exam was at 8 a.m. And that's when their biological lowest is. And the system called that fair. It wasn't measuring your mind. It was measuring your compliance. Picasso painted until 3 a.m. George Sand slipped out of her lover's bed at midnight to write every single night. In a trance so deep she couldn't remember the words by morning. They weren't fighting the night, they were using it. Because the night is quiet in a way the day never is. Not just acoustically, psychologically. The performance ends, the pressure evaporates. And something in you, something that spent all day being managed and filtered, finally exhales. You were never lazy. You were running on a different clock, a rarer one. So the next time you feel that familiar guilt for what the night took and what the morning is already demanding back, ask yourself this: what would your life look like if you stopped apologizing for when you come alive?